I got disowned for not donating my liver to my golden child brother. I never thought refusing to risk my life would make my entire family turn their backs on me, but here I am. Disowned, alone, and apparently dead to them, all because I wouldn't give up part of my liver for my brother. My younger brother, the golden child, the reckless one who partied his way into organ failure. I didn't even say no right away. I just hesitated. I wanted to understand the risks. I wanted to take a minute to breathe. But that was enough to be branded selfish, ungrateful, cruel. So yeah, here's the story. It's long, but I need to get it off my chest. Maybe if I write it out, it'll stop eating at me. I, 28M, grew up in a family where love was conditional, but expectations were not. I was the firstborn. That meant I had to be the responsible one. The one who set the example. The one who picked up after my brother's messes. My parents made it very clear from a young age that Dylan, now 24, was different, sensitive, special. What they meant was, he could do whatever he wanted, and they'd find a way to excuse it. Me? Not so much. When Dylan broke a neighbor's window with a BB gun, I got grounded for not watching him. When Dylan snuck out at night and crashed Dad's car into a stop sign, I got lectured for setting a bad example. When he got caught stealing from the convenience store down the road, my mom literally told me it was because you're so cold to him, he's desperate for attention. That was the pattern for, well, most of my life. By high school, Dylan had already started dabbling in drugs and alcohol. By college, his third attempt, he was a full-blown addict. He dropped out twice. My parents covered it up, made excuses to relatives, sent him to a cushy rehab facility out of state, and kept insisting he just needed more time to find himself. Meanwhile, I worked. I got a job at 16 to help pay for my own books and clothes. I got into college with scholarships and never asked my parents for a dime. I studied business and took freelance gigs just to stay afloat. I wasn't a genius or a star athlete like Dylan, but I was stable. Boring, according to my mom. I moved out at 23, got my own place, and found a decent job in logistics. Wasn't glamorous, but it paid well and I actually liked the structure. My girlfriend at the time, Maya, and I had been together for about a year and were thinking about moving in together. For once, it felt like I was building something of my own. Then came the call. It was a Wednesday. I remember that because I had just gotten out of a really annoying midweek team meeting. My phone was blowing up with missed calls from my mom. I called her back, assuming it was something stupid, like a printer not working or her forgetting how to use the microwave again. But this time, her voice was trembling. She told me Dylan had collapsed at a party and was in the ICU. Liver failure. Complete system crash. The doctors said he was looking at a transplant, and that time was running out. I froze. I didn't even know what to say. I think I asked, "Is he going to be okay?" Mom's answer, "That depends on you." At first, I didn't understand what she meant. Then she launched into the whole thing. Living liver donors. Partial transplants. Compatibility. She said they'd already spoken to the doctors, who said immediate family members were the most likely candidates. They were too old to donate themselves, so that left me. She didn't even ask. She just assumed I would say yes. She started scheduling a test appointment before I even responded. I told her to slow down, that I needed to process everything. And that's when the tone shifted. Suddenly, I was the problem. "You're being selfish," she snapped. "This is your brother's life." I didn't say no, I told her. I need to understand what this means." "You want him to die?" I hung up after that. I spent the whole night spiraling. I looked up the procedure, which is no joke. It's major surgery. A huge chunk of your liver is removed. Recovery can take months. There are real risks. And I just kept thinking, why me? Why do I always have to fix everything? The next morning, my dad called. He didn't yell. He didn't beg. He just said, in a disgusted voice, "I thought I raised a man." Guess not. I didn't reply. I couldn't. There was this pit in my stomach. Like I already knew, deep down, that this was going to get ugly no matter what I decided. But I hoped that maybe, if I explained myself, they'd understand. I told them I was scared, that I wasn't saying never, but I needed time, that I'd get tested, but I wanted to talk to a doctor, not just jump into a decision that could alter my life forever. I wanted to think like a rational adult. You'd think I slapped my mother in the face. The next week was a storm. I got calls from every relative. Aunts, uncles, even cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. All saying variations of the same thing. "How could you do this to your brother? Dylan's friends posted about it on social media. Subtle jabs. Some people would rather watch family die than be inconvenienced. My mom posted a photo of Dylan in his hospital bed. Her caption, "Still praying for a miracle, since even family has abandoned him." I wanted to scream. I tried to defend myself in the comments just once and got drowned in hate. People told me I was evil, cold, a sociopath. I deleted my Facebook the next day. That was 3 weeks ago. The last message I got from my mom was short and brutal. "We had a family meeting. You are no longer considered part of this family. We are removing you from all group chats, photos, and gatherings. Don't contact us again." I didn't reply. I haven't talked to Dylan since before he went into the hospital. I don't even know if he's still alive. Part of me hopes he pulls through. I don't want him to die. I can't keep sacrificing myself on the altar of his mistakes. Not anymore. I didn't kill him. I didn't pour liquor down his throat or put pills in his hand. I didn't enable him. I just chose not to risk my own body for someone who has never once cared about mine. And for that, I'm dead to them. After the message from my mom, "You are no longer considered part of this family," it felt like someone flipped a switch. Everything just stopped. There were no more phone calls, no angry voicemails, no relatives checking in, trying to convince me. I didn't get invited to Thanksgiving, Christmas, not even my grandmother's funeral 2 months later. I only found out about it because a second cousin posted a picture of the urn. It was like I never existed. And honestly, at first, I thought maybe that would be a relief. It wasn't. The silence was worse than the yelling. At least when they were angry, I still mattered. I was still something to them. But this was annihilation. My name was scrubbed clean. I'd been replaced with a phantom version of myself, the cruel, heartless brother who left Dylan to die. I couldn't escape it. Even at work, I started noticing whispers. A coworker who was friends with one of Dylan's friends told the team I let my brother die. Another forwarded me a screenshot of a Facebook post where Dylan wrote, "Real family doesn't ask if you're worth saving." I had to go to HR to stop the gossip. They were sympathetic, but it was clear they didn't really want to deal with it. I started working remotely more. Stopped showing up to team lunches. Avoided eye contact in meetings. I was unraveling slowly. Maya, my girlfriend, tried to be supportive at first. She told me I didn't do anything wrong, that I was being gaslit by people who never treated me like a human being. She made me tea, rubbed my shoulders, cooked for me when I didn't feel like eating. But over time, even she started to look tired. She didn't say anything directly, but I could see it in her eyes. The heaviness. The way she flinched every time I brought up my family again. She never signed up for this mess, and now it was taking over every conversation, every dinner, every hour of sleep. One night, she sat me down and said, "I think you need help. Not from me, from a professional." I started therapy the following week. It felt stupid at first, like what was I going to say? "Hi, I'm Jake, and I've been emotionally steamrolled by my entire family for 28 years? But my therapist, Marla, didn't push. She just listened. And for the first time in my life, someone looked at me and said, "That wasn't normal. What they did to you wasn't love." I broke down crying halfway through the second session. I don't even remember why. I think I was just tired of holding it in. Tired of being the strong one. The one who always picked up the pieces without complaint. Things with Maya didn't last. I don't blame her. She tried. I really believe that. But after one particularly bad argument, I think I accused her of abandoning me like everyone else. She packed a bag and stayed at her sister's for a few nights. Then she came back just to get the rest of her stuff. Her goodbye was quiet. No yelling, no drama. Just, "I love you, but I can't be your punching bag." She was right. I let everything turn me into something bitter. Everything hurt. Everything felt unfair. And I didn't know how to process it except by lashing out or shutting down. So yeah, there I was. No family. No girlfriend. No support system. Just me, and the same four walls I couldn't afford to repaint. I stopped checking social media entirely. Every post from an old friend felt like acid. Family barbecues, sibling selfies, new baby announcements. Things I knew I'd never have. Not with my bloodline. There were nights I drank just to sleep. Days I didn't bother showering. I started skipping therapy. I told Marla I was fine. I wasn't. Then came the panic attack. I was at the grocery store, standing in the bread aisle, and some little kid was throwing a tantrum. His mom bent down and said, "I know you're upset, but we don't scream at people we love." I don't know why it hit me so hard, but it did. I left my cart right there, walked out of the store, and sat in my car shaking for 30 minutes. I thought I was dying. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't even open my hands. That night, I called Marla and begged her to take me back. That was the turning point. I went back to therapy, this time seriously. I started journaling, meditating. It felt cheesy, but it helped. I stopped drinking, not even socially. I picked up running instead. I was still a mess, but I was a functional mess. I also applied for a job in another city, Chicago. I didn't even think I'd get it, but I did. And just like that, I left. I left the city I grew up in, the streets I'd walked 1,000 times, the house with the sagging roof and the screaming parents, the place where every corner carried a memory of being told I wasn't enough. I found an apartment near the lake, small, but bright, quiet. No one knew me. No one whispered about Dylan. No one knew I let my brother die. In Chicago, I started over. New job, new coworkers, new identity. I even started going by Jacob instead of Jake, subtle, but it helped. I joined a local board game group, started volunteering at a food pantry on weekends, built a life that didn't revolve around someone else's needs. And after about a year, I met Emily. She was funny, patient, and didn't ask me to explain myself. When I told her about my family, not the whole story, just the outline, she didn't flinch. She just said, "That sounds awful. I'm glad you got away." As I write this, it's been almost 3 years since the disownment. I haven't heard from my parents. Not directly, anyway. But last week, something changed. A message popped up in my inbox from an old cousin, Mark. We weren't close, but he'd always been one of the quieter ones. The ones who stayed out of the drama. His message was short. "Hey, just thought you should know. Dylan's back in the hospital. The transplant failed. Your parents are looking for you." That was it. No apology. No regret. Just a heads up that the people who threw me out like garbage were now sniffing around, hoping I might still be useful. I didn't reply. I stared at that message from Mark for a long time. Dylan's back in the hospital. The transplant failed. Your parents are looking for you. I didn't answer right away. I didn't know if I wanted to answer at all. But the truth is, even after everything, curiosity still lived in me. It didn't matter how deep I buried it. Part of me needed to know. Not about Dylan's condition. About them. My parents. What they would say now, after 3 years of silence and exile. And even more than that, I wanted to know something I was afraid to admit out loud. Would I finally have the guts to look them in the eyes and say, no? I called Mark the next evening. He answered on the first ring, like he'd been waiting for me. "Hey, Jacob," he said cautiously. It caught me off guard. Jacob. No one from my old life ever used that name. We talked. Not long. Just enough to get the picture. Dylan had been admitted to a major hospital about a week ago. The liver he received didn't take, complications, rejection, whatever. I didn't ask for details. Frankly, I didn't care. What mattered was this. He needed another transplant. And once again, they were circling back to me. "They're panicking," Mark said. "They're trying to find you. I think they're hoping you've, changed your mind." I laughed. Out loud. I didn't even mean to, it just came out. Changed my mind. 2 days later, I got the email. It came from my mom's old Gmail address. The same one she used to send church bulletins and forwarded recipes. It started with "Jacob already weird," and then launched into what I can only describe as a manipulative disaster of a letter. Here's the summary. "We never stopped loving you. Family forgives. Your brother is fighting for his life. Again, we were wrong to be so harsh. God gives second chances. Please, come home." There was no apology. Not really. Just a vague, self-justifying cloud of sentiment and pressure. It ended with, "Even now, we believe you're the only one who can save him." I stared at that line for a long time. Save him. Like that's all I've ever been good for. A safety net. A spare part. A resource. Never a son. Never a person. Just a tool they threw away when I said I didn't want to break myself for them. I didn't reply right away. Instead, I called Marla, my therapist, and read her the whole thing. When I finished, she asked me one question. "What do you want to do, Jacob?" And for the first time in my life, I had a clear answer. I wrote back the next morning. Here's what I said. "You disowned me. You erased me. You let people drag my name through the mud for 3 years. You missed my birthday. You didn't check on me when I lost my job. You didn't even tell me when Grandma died. But now that Dylan needs something from me again, suddenly I'm family? No, I will not donate. I will not visit. I will not come home. You made your choice. I'm finally making mine. I hit send. Then I blocked her email. 3 hours later, my dad called. New number. I let it go to voicemail. He left a message I'll never delete, not because I treasure it, but because it's proof. Proof of who they are. So that's it, huh? You're just gonna let him die? You selfish little coward. I hope you're happy with your fancy new life. You're no son of mine. There it was. Not a word about what they did to me. Not a shred of ownership. Just the same rage, the same blame, the same projection. For the first time ever, it didn't hurt. It was laughable. I didn't cry. I didn't spiral. I didn't doubt myself. I just smiled. Because I finally saw it clearly. They never loved me. Not really. They loved what I could do for them. And I'm done doing anything. I never checked on Dylan. I still haven't. If he dies, that's tragic, but it's not on me. He burned through his body like it was disposable, and then demanded mine like it was owed. I refused. That's not cruelty. That's survival. I don't wish him pain. I just don't care he is anymore. And I don't care if that makes me cold. Cold is better than being flayed alive for someone else's mistakes. It's been 6 months since that final email. I'm engaged to Emily. We're buying a house. I just got promoted. I ran my first marathon last month. I call my friends brothers now, the kind who show up when you need them, not just when they need something from you. My real family isn't blood. It's chosen, built, earned. And my blood? Well, they're ghosts now. Just a story I tell sometimes. When I survived. Not because I gave them a piece of me, but because I finally stopped. Hey, before we move on to the video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Thanks.